Seems reasonable.
There will be no muting.
Match.
There will be no muting of
I have like
numbers.
9 trillion things I gotta do.
Alright, guys, let's get this show started. So Abe is streaming right outside this door, so he will not be joining us. So today I just want to talk about what we decided to do. Last night, Abe streamed till midnightish, like 12:30ish, and then I was thinking about streaming and I decided not to, but I took pre-workout for the first time yesterday, and I just laid in bed for 2 hours. So then I decided to stream at 2 a.m. till 6:30 a.m. and then Jeremy got on at 6:30. Surprisingly, I hit 140 viewers at that hour, I was very surprised because I didn't know I had people that would want to watch me at that hour.
You probably got a bunch of Europeans.
Yeah, I got a bunch of Europeans and Japanese folks, which is cool because I got more followers than I usually have been getting. And then I passed on to Jeremy, and then Jeremy passed on to Evan, and Evan passed on to Abe, and then Abe is going to pass back on to me. And I've been looking at everybody's analytics, and it's been everybody has had a jump in average viewers throughout, so everybody's been able to hold that momentum. So based on this really small sample size, I do believe that if we were to chain this for a week or a month, that it would be like a snowball that would get us to 1,000 people in a month. Basically we're showing loyalty to our fan base by being there every single day, and I've seen the strategy being used in other streaming groups, but never in Magic. Nobody's capitalizing on something like this in Magic, and applying this strategy would just absolutely break it, I think. But I just wanted to fill you guys in on what we've been doing for the past 24 hours.
I mean, I think it's worth noting as well that it's while it's been successful and it's a last 24 hours thing, I think it's kind of a testament to everyone getting on board and finding a thing that they like to do, because obviously this stuff can't work if people don't like streaming. I watched Jeremy stream this morning. I watched Evan stream. Everyone seems to be getting viewers. I got to work at 8:30 and there was already 60 or 70 people watching Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's just good as long as people are enjoying it that this kind of stuff happens. I think it's a testament to people working hard. And, it's good to see for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was definitely really happy to see that move forward. Hopefully Dylan is going to be joining us soon with that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm definitely looking forward to
next week. Yeah.
Dylan, after this meeting, if you could type up a rough draft for our next giveaway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think we should just give away...
What box is it again?
We have 2 boxes. We have Eternal Masters and the current set. I think we should give away the current set before it rotates out. And then we can do Eternal Masters either next or if the next set comes out by the time we do our next one, then we'll do the next set, and then if there's a downtime in between, then we'll give away the Eternal Masters box.
Okay. You wanna try to get that off tomorrow?
Yeah, I would like to do it before regionals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you could do that. But yeah, let's get started on the main focus. What are we playing for regionals and why?
Is someone recording?
Yeah, I'm already recording.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll just cut out the beginning.
Yeah, we'll just cut out the beginning.
Alright.
For when you're recording, click on us. it makes the video better. Or you can like click on whoever's talking to.
Yeah, I like doing that.
Because like whenever there's just a blank one, it just like looks worse.
Yeah,
We're talking about strategy.
Yeah, we're talking about like who's playing what, and why. Who wants to start
I'll
off?
get started because I'm pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I'm sure to no one's surprise, I'm just playing Amulet this weekend. I did some practice. I'm pretty rusty with the deck since I haven't played much recently, but actually that's probably an understatement to say that I'm a little rusty. But I'll get some more reps in tonight, get harden on my brain a bit, and then I'll be ready for this weekend. I expect to do pretty well. I think it's deck's obviously really well positioned, really good.
Yeah.
And looking forward to it.
What makes you think it?
Playing your tried and true scouts, or did you?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
There's 0% aggro to ever play not
Razors?
No, I mean, I bought Razors. I talked to a few people about it. I thought about it a bunch. I still am on the scout camp. I think it gives you a lot of underappreciated utility just beyond making land drops. And
Scout right now never dies.
Yeah, and there's no removal. It's just so good against the band decks, all the path decks, all the decks.
We were talking
It's
actually.
I only really feel bad about it against prowess.
I was actually oh shit, let me get I need to get my computer charger, but I was actually just talking about it with Ross on the podcast, how I've been playing a lot of the Erosa deck, which I'll talk about soon, but and versus the different Titan decks, it's actually Scout actually complicates things a lot more versus Amulet, opposing to the green-black field deck or whatever, where everything's face up there, you kind of just gonna quickly lock them and do that, but having instant speed bog, instant speed zombies, instant speed whatever, and that repeatable effect is pretty annoying. So I just wanted to echo your little statement about having other utility.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think after jamming a bit of Titan, I would say I like Scout. There's no doubt that I would play Scout if I was playing tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing I think the viewers might be interested in is this is a pretty unusual meta, and you are more likely to face more mirrors. So does the Amulet squad have a way to beat the mirror?
Yeah, that's basically it. There's not a lot you can do. A lot of it comes down to how well you mulligan compared to your opponent, I think.
You have to do stuff.
Beast Within is just the most reasonable card that exists. That it happens to be good in the mirror. It's actively good in the mirror. You can play bullets, but they're either too narrow or not high impact enough.
Yeah.
But Beast Within is kind of nice. I have 3 right now, and I'm contemplating the 4th. I think it's probably the best change you can make that doesn't skew your sideboard too much. That's actively good in the mirror.
Cool.
Also for what it's worth, I think there is a lot more play in the mirror than there was before Dryad, because previously it was really hard to come back from your opponent typing first unless you had at least second Amulet, sometimes third Amulet. But now that Dryad exists, if you're able to position yourself to have an explosive turn with Dryad post their Titan, so let's say they Titan without Dryad, and then you with your Dryad are able to play your Titan, get 2 lands, including a Malekith, and kill their Titan. And then you take back priority. Now, obviously, there's some counterplay to that, and it can be difficult with active negation. But it is worth noting that you should, in the mirror, be looking for those lines to sort of break serve, even if it sometimes means taking a specifically risky line, because it's not really a matchup that's going to last 15 turns. You're especially on the draw, you should be taking risks in order to win those games that you otherwise would. Because breaking serve is just so hard that if you even see a small chance at it, you're often supposed to play this.
With that being said, if you're still behind your opponent Titan, you miss time, you're still going to die, but it gives you a chance to actually.
Yeah, if they have drive.
You're dead.
If you were probably dead to most of those draws anyways, the drive was something else, 3 Dryad, but now you can at least come back from behind from the break serve, like Keith was saying.
Yeah.
I played a match against Dom Harvey in the 7th round of the face-to-face event last weekend, and I played a mirror, and he played turn 3 Titan with 3 untapped Ghost Quarters, and I almost won the match. So like there is like some play, some.
They must won the match. They must won the game.
I almost won the game 3.
That's sick. So I was thinking about something, and I wanted to get like approval and thoughts by the Amulet boys on the squad, and that was, would you guys ever consider playing Ashiok? Because it is an unusual meta, and Ashiok is one-sided.
Yeah, we did talk about that. It's just really, really hard to cast.
It's like that's a card you want to cast with turn 3.
Really?
Yeah,
because
not
I
gonna
mean,
do that.
the way I was thinking about it was like you guys cast Teleria West all the time.
But that's
Teleria
like
comes from
Titan.
Yeah, and it usually comes from the Titan where you get Simic plus Teleria.
Yeah.
Like it sets it up itself. Teleria West is also, the way the deck is built, pretty difficult to transmute.
Yeah.
Like there's 0 gemstone mines. Like it used to be easy to transmute, but now with no gemstone mines, more like actual forests for castle, it's less difficult, or it's more difficult.
It
That's why there's
often
less T-West now.
cast itself because you'll float mana from it and then pick it up,
Right, yeah.
which makes it easier.
That doesn't happen on turn 3 though.
You could go Dryad into Ashiok, and we did talk about it. And then you have like Bog as an incidental source. I just think it's unlikely to.
You're not even that
too frequently.
You're not going to do it against Bogs the match.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Other than like
Right now you will.
but you don't think Dredge.
Yeah, other than Dredge
Yeah.
or whatever.
Interesting. All right. Yeah. I mean, that was basically the only card that I really felt like I was considering for like a major hate in the mirror match to gain an edge, because, yeah. But that's about it for Amulet for me. Alright, so what are some of the other decks we're considering? I've heard things about Rosa and John Shadow, so I'd love to talk about
Yeah, I'll start on Orozo. Whatever you want to call it. I guess the deck's name is dumb, but yeah, I just was like trying to figure out what was the best Earth deck this week. Kind of just still have an affinity for that overall strategy, and I believe it's still good. Someone figured it out, and I was like, I started with the Simic deck, and obviously was playing Tried, Premier, Elite Seasol, but I just haven't even gotten there because I just, after playing this, I can't imagine being Uro out of my deck.
Yeah.
It's really good. The green cards are still really strong. Goose is actually incredibly important, and I feel like a lot of people were skeptical of with Goose post Oko, but it's still really good. It's still really important to the deck. Hammering, just giving you a bunch of resources with Urza. So I still like that, especially over the talismans, which I think are kind of stinky that the other one plays. And you just kind of get to play more of a card advantage game with Uro and Emery, where the other guy maybe plays 2 Emery, and other than that, it doesn't have any other forms of card advantage really, aside from the Sanctuary package. And I think the blue-black one just looks a lot more anemic in comparison. Without pressure, your discard spells just aren't doing a whole lot. The combo is it's solid, but the cards aren't very good on their own.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think the deck's still really good. I would definitely put it in top 3-ish decks in Modern. Definitely worse than Amulet Titan. And I say this very sadly, but I don't think I have a great Amulet Titan matchup. I think it's a little below 50%.
Yeah.
Sure hate for the right now.
3 Moons and 2 Ashioks, and I was gonna say I tried to build without Moon, I tried to create Simic and Soul Tie, and I think they're both worse, because I don't think you can reliably beat them without Moon.
Do you think Egos could be an avenue?
The problem is Dryad needs to be straight out.
Yeah, I guess so. You're not really building into something that goes over that.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems with the Titan decks, where there's you can beat them. Obviously, Route 1 is just straight up the counter spells. They don't have the counter. It's pretty easy a lot of the time. You can beat them in the late game when they don't if the Amulet deck doesn't have the Amulet, or if the other Titan deck doesn't assemble the whole Valak thing, and you can cryptic block them out. but you can't really beat them when they just slip in an early dryad that you can't answer, and then they kind of like start attacking you on that front early, and then you have to like worry about that while you're trying to stop the Titan game plan. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm like a little sad that I think Titan matchups are like 45-55 pretty much. But it is what it is. I hope I don't run into it too much. It's just a regionals. If it was a more important tournament, I certainly would have put in the hours of playing it. But for this one, it's kind of just more okay playing like a deck I like that I thought was good too. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I played quite a bit of Urza, Rosa, the blue-black version, Grixis. Like, I tried so many different builds. Like,
I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on other ones.
God, they are without Mox Opal, Urza takes forever to get online, and it's like so much more rare that you get to play Urza and hold up Cryptic. It's honestly the shell is missing something, and it's like weirdly like now so bad against Rest in Peace. You're like just all of a sudden just like a deck that just automatically loses to a Rest in Peace. So, I don't know. I was pretty sad to play the deck. I didn't have a good time, honestly.
With Dimir or Simic or all of them?
All of them. They all had just like a blatant weakness. Like the Whir like package is like garbage now. You just don't. You can't.
That looks so funky to me.
It feels like you can never cast anything, and if you draw an Urza and a Whir, your hand is just like a straight up mulligan, unless you just happen to have the nuts with like 2 zeros and Emery on turn 1. But that like never happens anymore.
With that deck especially, yeah.
Yeah, if EE was still good, and you could justify playing 3 EEs in your main, then I would be like more inclined to play the deck. But if you do play the build with 3 EEs, you end up having EEs in your hand, and that card is like dead against like 70% of the field. So I hate Urza right now. I dislike it a lot. But I will say that I've watched Jeremy, and I know that Collins also has done well, and Abe is also playing it right now with Jun Shadow. So I would love to hear their thoughts on Jun Shadow.
Yeah, I played a good amount of it. I know Jeremy has as well. I've been very impressed so far. I'm 2-4-1 to the 5-0 deck. It just kind of is faster than everything, and has good matchups against the top tier decks. It's just like a Shadow Team Rally deck. Not really a lot to it.
Yeah.
Collins, did you say Judge Shadow? Do you mean the BTCLA deck with the Swiss Spears, or just like regular?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. They're with the Swiss Spears and the Commonest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was testing some 4-color Shadow a couple weeks ago. I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
I played a little bit of that last week, earlier, and recorded a video with it, and it was not nearly as impressive as the all-in Blitz version. I think that the thing that this Swiss Spear deck gains over the other strategy is the speed. It feels like Infect is really well positioned right now, except for this deck is just better than
Except like better.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I agree with all those. I actually just did a coaching session with somebody who's I recommended they play the CTLA deck. So I only got to watch like 3 matches, but it looked very solid, and I like what it was doing in the current format too. That's my backup. I might just like default, play that deck too. So.
And we were kind of talking about how it doesn't even feel like this deck is extremely powerful. It's just that all of the other decks in Modern, aside from Titan, are just bad. So you kind of get to run them over. This deck is just the best thing equipped to do that. And I think that it just inherently has a good matchup against the Titan decks. Like, you're this fast Team Battle Rage deck, which can be really difficult. So.
Yeah. Jeremy, you wanna go over it?
No, I've just been playing it pretty much a lot. It just is so, like Colin said, it was like so fast. Like Titan is just a much better matchup than every other deck I've tried because you can just like if you're on the play and they turn 3 Titan, like most of the time you're like they're either dead on that turn or you like turn like they're just like dead the next turn. Like the only way they can get around it is EE. And I think the sideboard is good. Oh, you don't want to be on Edgar the whole time? I was like, make sure you click so that's dynamic. And Dylan did a whole talk, and you're just like, click on Edgar.
Okay, dude.
Awful.
Wow, dude. You could have clicked.
No, I don't want to reach over you. Some of the changes I made is I think that a Crash Through should be a Gore Clan Rampager because you do have Traverse. And, like, there's a lot of time where, like, the Traverse is really good as another Shadow, but they would actually just be dead on that turn if it was a Gore Clan. And Crash Through is mostly just good if, like, there's, like, a board stall, which only happens if, like, they're, like, also playing Death Shadow or if they're playing the Crabvine deck. So I was, like, kind of fine cutting a Crash Through for a Gore Clan Rampager. And also I added a Rex Sage to the sideboard, and it's just been really good. It's, like, even good against Titan because it can kill their Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which is actually much worse for you than their Titan. And then I also added a Chameleon Colossus to the sideboard instead of their Thrun. And that's just been really good for me, Collins. I'm not really sure what list changes you would have considered making, but that's, like, where I'm at with the deck right now. And I'm, like, pretty happy with those changes.
So I've just been playing with a 5-0 that I found. It wasn't exactly BTS, it was like 74 cards of BTCLA's list, but instead of a run, I think it was like a Yixlip Jailer or something.
Yeah. I've been seeing stuff like that too.
And the Jailer's been pretty good for me against, like it was good against Dredge.
Yeah, I could see the Jailer in the sideboard. I could also like over like maybe one of the oofs because like Traverse just kind of gives you that toolbox anyway. What do you think about the Gore Clan?
Bad.
There were a couple of spots where I was like thinking about like, ooh, it would be nice to get a Gore Clan here with my Traverse, but I think I remember realizing that in all of those spots where I thought it would be good, I was just miles ahead anyways. So I don't actually, I think it's still a little too much win more.
So
You can just like attack him twice instead of having to kill him that one turn.
So I actually played the deck last night, and I was having a pretty bad time, but that was because I was drawing some of the weird cards in the deck, and after when I talked to Abe, he verified a lot of what I was feeling, which was that Traverse is a garbage card, and I think that it plays a one of Once Upon a Time, and I think the deck would be better served cutting Traverse altogether from the shell and not having to play bad cards like the 1-mana red spell. What is it?
Power Fire.
Yeah, cut that stupid card for more Once Upon a Times. Yeah, I mean, like, I just want it to be more consistent, and there's more times where I would rather cast a 2-mana Once Upon a Time than cast a Traverse that goes and gets me the one of basic.
Zan, I actually really like that idea.
Yeah.
I did ask. I think that sounds nice. I mean, I was gonna say how I really like the one Once Upon a Time in the deck, but like, why not?
Let's just play the better card.
Having one is nice. I do think there's some.
Once Upon a Time is busted, and Traverse has been trying to be what Once Upon a Time is for many years, and has never
It's a little
prevailed.
weird in this deck because Once Upon a Time is like, you're like 70% to hit a threat.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I was
That's
gonna say.
really bad at casting it in a lot of games.
Yeah, but Traverse never. It like so many times isn't even active.
I disagree.
Yeah,
My chances are always there.
And if people are bringing in Graveyard Hate against you, I'm just like, why feed into that? I
If
just
they're
want
bringing Graveyard Hate, they're just gonna die. Like Suspirited and Shadows.
I mean-
That sounds really bad.
Traverse is just a bad card.
Bringing Graveyard Hate against that deck sounds bad.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
bad players are bad players. Why give them the edge? Why not make your deck way more consistent? 4, 4, 4, 4.
It's not
That's
doing
what.
that in the X though. It's just like not an effective strategy.
Say what?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that's a reasonable one, but I don't hate the idea.
Yeah, I mean it's
I-
like Infect,
I will
right?
say-
Yeah.
I do want to speak up in defense of Traverse a little bit. I've actually really liked it.
Yeah, I've liked it a lot too.
It just, for me, has felt like Shadows 5 and 6, and in this deck, that's just really, really important. You just like have to find that card in some capacity most games, and you kind of like can replace that with a Becomment on one of your creatures when you're trying to keep a Battle Rage. But I think that the traverses add like a little consistency element that has felt nice to me. And they're not on all the time, and sometimes they are dead. But I think that for me they've been mostly good.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I really have liked the traverses. They're just like your late game is there's only one late game that you have, and it's attacking with multiple shadows, and so it just like gets to the spot where you have like 4 creatures in play. It's always because you like traverse.
Yeah, or like I played against
It's not
humans,
active.
and they had the pro red black creature, and I just traversed for like 3 Tarmogoyfs.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely talking about when Traverse is active.
It's active all the time, dude. Every time I look on turn 1, and I'm like, oh wow, traverse is active. Like I have 6 different card types in my group. That's crazy. My Tarmogoyfs is 7, 8. Traverses are always active.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that it is actually active more in this deck than it is traditional Traverse Shadow because you can cast instants proactively. That was always a problem with Traverse Shadow that, unless you're playing against creatures and drew your Fatal Push, it would be difficult to cast your instants proactively to turn on Traverse. So,
that's
worth,
true.
I do think it is active more often in this deck.
Right. I've cast Mutagenic Growth just like for 2 damage to turn on Traverse quite a lot. So.
3 damage, dog, because of your Swift Spear. In fact, also 4 damage because it's a Death Shadow. It's like almost never 2 damage unless it was just a Tarmogoyf, which is like, whoa.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on cutting them. They've been really good for me. That's just my 2 cents.
I do think it's a cool idea, but yeah, that makes sense. Like, just finding more shadows is critical.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once Upon a Time finds more shadows quicker.
I wouldn't knock those in.
Not compared to Traverse on average.
What do you mean?
Your
One costs 0.
onces, well, like, how often do you think Traverse will be online? Like, percentage of games, like 80?
What? How often will I have 2 mana?
How often will the Traverse be, like, how often will you have Delirium?
Well, it depends on by what turn. Do I think, will I be able to cast Once Upon a Time and hit a creature on turn 2 more or less than I will be able to cast Traverse on turn 2 and hit a creature?
Well, it's a
Yeah,
lot
the
more
problem is
complicated
that
than that. because
There are only 8 creatures in the deck that you want to hit. Or, yeah, I mean, like, you can hit Swift Spear, but, I don't know. I have been kind of underwhelmed with the Swift Spear. It is necessary, but it's not great. But it's like, it feels like there's a very low density of cards that you can actually hit. And the majority of a vast majority of my Once Upon a Times have been either a land or a street raid.
And it's like, once is a little better so in your corner, it's like a good deal better. But as a top deck, it's a lot worse. Like, Traverses, you're kind of crippling your late game.
It's just the concept of diminishing returns, right? Like the first Once Upon a Time has way more value than the next ones.
Yeah. And I will say that the single once in the deck has been the most funky card for me, over the Traverses. And I definitely don't want to go up on Traverses by any means. Like, I'm closer to 1 than 3, but I don't know. I've been happy with the Traverses and not happy with the single ones.
Yeah, when I was testing 4-color Shadow, I was actually the list I started with had 2 onces and I went down to 1.
Yeah.
And that deck even has more mana sources than this Swift Spear version, I think. Like one or two more mana sources. There was just a lot of games where if you drew 2 Once Upon a Times, it was just a liability. Like you just were not able to play to the board effectively on the early turns like you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, Baker in his article also wrote about how there is a tendency to compare Traverse and Once Upon a Time, but what he said the exact same thing Evan said, where Traverse is this card that you don't want to play early, but is like a really powerful card to have in your late game, and it contributes to the whole like shadow problem where you want to draw a shadow every game. And then Once Upon a Time is the opposite, where the returns really diminish, but it's like super powerful.
But playing Tarfire is so garbage.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean that's a legitimate
What? Like,
You
who
can
likes
cut
Starfire?
without like you can just still cut Starfire, right? Like I don't think those things are necessarily related directly. Like they play Starfire because of Goyf as well.
But then you
I
being
cut Starfire from Four Color Shadow as well for.
yeah. I mean, we're not talking about like all the anti synergies, right? Like Become Immense, what Become Immense and Traverse, like I don't like.
Nobody lives when you cast Become Immense.
Yeah, I was sorry.
The game's usually over one direction or the other.
I mean, that's just not true though, right? Well, how Swift Spear plus Become Immense is how much? 7, 8?
8,
Yeah.
literally 8.
Well, most of the time it like rots in your hands until we.
Well, it's mostly 18.
The game out is very broken.
Yeah, but you still use it as a trick to trade with creatures, right? So in the end, it still ends up eating your graveyard. You know. I mean, it's come up with enough of the time. Yeah, if you're drawing your stuff in a good order, I just rather my card do what it's supposed to do all the time. You know, like Tarfire, just a bad card. I don't.
Right, but I think the argument is that Once Upon a Time doesn't do what you want it to do all the time. Like in games where you have to cast it for 2 mana, sometimes it's not doing what you want it to do.
Yeah, but then why play 1? Why not play like?
Because the first, it's like the ley line problem. Like sometimes like the first ley line is worth a lot because it has diminishing returns, right? Like the likelihood when you have 1 ley line in your deck, the likelihood it's in your opening hand. It's like, whatever, 25%, I'm just going to make up a number. But then the next one isn't adding 25%, right? It's only adding like 12%.
I know, but
And it's the same problem with Once Upon a Time.
I do get that, but it's not exactly the same. Casting Leyline is not really a great option, you know? But casting Once Upon a Time is still a good option.
True. One time my opponent attacked me with a reality smash.
You're like a really hyper aggro blitzy deck, and like spending 2 mana for the one to cast feels awful. It's like how we just like not include once in Infect when we're playing it, just because for the same reason of the fact that like if you ever had to cast one, it just felt horrendous.
So think of like Traverse as a 4-drop in your aggro deck, right? You're playing 2 4-drops. It's not 4.
But if I think about it like that, I don't play it. Why would I want to play a 4-drop?
Well, like think about how like aggro decks often play a curve topper, right?
Yeah, like Hellrider.
Traverse is your curve topper.
Yeah, I mean, like that doesn't sell it, you know? Like it has too many costs, right? The costs are I need my graveyard to be active, so I have to have drawn everything in a specific order. Number 2 is I play Become Immense, so it does affect my graveyard. Like, and then I'm playing Tarfire, right? What is the reason to play Tarfire over Bolt? There's no other reason except for the fact that it helps fuel my Traverse.
Yeah, but like the downsides are kind of weirdly nothing, right? It's just because all the same stuff. Like you still Tarfire elves, it's the same as you Bolt elves.
I don't know. I'm definitely pro like cool cards, but I do think that in this case it is a huge cost.
The majority of the time I just Tarfire myself, so I'm just like glad it's not a Bolt kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like these are like specific scenarios that you're like getting lucky to have been good, right? But like Once Upon a Time on turn 0 is like on turn 1 is just a much better card.
Well, yeah, I mean, without getting into specific scenarios, I think that the biggest upside for me for Traverse is that it just allows you to play. It's like your extra copy of your big threats, which the deck relies pretty heavily on. And
Yeah, but that's what I'm
find
saying, that it's
like
not
kind of a bad
because
copy.
it has viability.
Like I'll admit that it's like kind of a bad copy of Shadow or Goyf or whatever you want to get, but it's like it still is like better than having kind of nothing. It feels like once is more like having nothing there than Traverse. So
Once is like half. You're gonna hit like a Goyf or a Shadow half the time.
yeah, but Traverse is like 0.8 or something.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but that's I mean, that's my thoughts on that. I'm pretty happy with Jund Shadow. If I can find a copy, in addition to everybody else who wants to play it, I'll probably play it. But
Yeah.
playing a deck we didn't talk about yet.
Oh, Dredge. Yeah, nice. Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, I'm gonna be playing Dredge. It's nothing too fancy. It's just what Sodek won the Modern Challenge with a couple weeks back. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and that feels solid. I'm not like super thrilled about it. I don't think it's like broken for the weekend, but I think that in general, people are like fairly low on Graveyard Hate and playing, or it's like bad Graveyard Hate like Ashiok, and are playing decks trendy Amulet that are pretty bad against Dredge. So I've been having good results online, and the slip card, the name is slipping my mind right now, but
Failure to comply.
yeah, failure to comply. It's been really good in the Amulet matchup. I think that, you know, as opposed to just being stone dead like people were previously, now you're like a nice 40% or something.
40% would still be generous, but
That might be slightly generous, but you're not just like out of it.
sure.
You're like in that range, you know. Okay. Good one. And also, if people are playing non-Amulet Titan decks, I think you're actually favored against the green-black version. Because they slow down, they don't have T-West for Bog, and they are much worse at fighting through comply in post-board games.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'm pretty happy if that deck's on the rise. Aside from that, though, it's pretty much the same old Dredge stuff. So, looking
Nice.
forward to playing some of that this weekend.
Sweet. How did Sodek? What did Sodek play in again? A challenge.
He won the Modern Challenge. I think it was 2 weekends ago, essentially, like 10 days ago.
Nice. No. Yeah. I mean, I think you have a lot of experience with Dredge, and you've been doing well with it, so can't go wrong.
Like, I'll happily play against, Shadows on the rise a bit. All these Urza decks, I think, are fairly favorable.
I think Dredge is actually really good against everything that's not Amulet. The question is how relevant that is.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt Amulet's going to be more than like 15-20% of the field just because of the like barrier to entry.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I would be surprised even if it was like 10,
Right.
depending on how your regionals looks like.
Yeah, I guess when I say that number, it would be Amulet plus other Titan decks.
Sure. Yeah. Although you're probably better against the green black fields and stuff. Do they have Bug?
Yeah, Green Black Field has Bog, but that matchup's actually, I think, favorable.
Yeah,
They're
I
slower.
would imagine it's a lot closer. Here's a turn slower and it's really relevant.
Yeah, and also they can't like T-West for Bog, so they have Bog less often. And they're also a lot worse against Comply. Because they're all likely to play a Titan before you can get Comply down with an Amulet hand. So you're like pretty good to go if they don't draw off. And they have no sideboard cards for you at all. They're just playing the stock list, so.
Do they play Thoughtseizes in the main?
Green Black Titan?
Sideboard.
No.
In the sideboard? Oh. I haven't really looked at the deck. You guys said it was so bad that I like.
They got one Kaila's tracker and 2 explorers and 4 whatever the 2 mana fucking elder thing is called. Like, their deck was so bad, but
Yeah, I saw a Tron list the other day with Arboreal Grazer. That looked really funny.
Evan, how did Van feel?
Yeah, I played Stoneblade today for stream. It felt pretty solid. I think that their plan against Amulet is pretty reasonable. The person was playing Blood Moons. I don't know. Well, I'm not sure if you Amulet players will agree, but they had Blood Moons and Ashioks, and then you can sometimes cheese them out with Stoneforge Cheese Banner. So I did get there against Amulet in a match on stream. And then it's like pretty reasonable grindy shells, good against the shadow decks that people are starting to bring. Yeah, I like it overall. This list even like went hard with Kraus hating the board and was playing 4 Firewalkers, which I was a fan of. So I just took a 5-0 list from Freeland recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all of the decks that, you know, are trying, quote unquote, trying to beat Amulet, I think the Stoneblade decks, the Amulet player actually has to play extremely well to be as ahead as they say they are. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, those Stoneblade decks offer, like, a bunch of different axes to play on, and it does give you, like, a good opportunity to outplay your Amulet opponents, which is not always something you can do. Like, if you just walk in with Dredge, they're just going to bog you and you're going to die. But with Stoneblade, they do have to really play tight to beat you.
Do you think that you would still say the Amulet's a heavy favorite, even if they are bringing the Box and Ashiok?
If you have Moon and Astronaut, that is a fucking lot of shit.
Yeah, you're gonna die.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, this list seemed like it was very well tuned for the current meta. Like, I would honestly not hate to play that at regionals, but don't know if I can get the cards on last minute.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and like a more controlling version of Bant, like in really good to me for the current metagame. Like I don't know if you would just like cut Stoneforge or
Stoneforge just
whatever,
keep.
but
Like, I would definitely.
Sword of Piece of Damage is one of your best tools against Amulet.
okay, cool.
And also, just like random clock is super nice against like anything you're not tuned to do.
I mean, it's also one of the annoying things about old Amulet versus the slower Planeswalker decks is that's like gave them an avenue to beat you, which is why the Buite control matchup pre-field used to not be as free because they had like 30 Planeswalkers in their deck or whatever. So if you could play a control deck with a bunch of Ashioks and Blood Moons, it kind of you'd probably have an okay shot at beating the Amulet post-board, anyways.
Nice.
Dylan or Evan, can you post the Bant list in the? Is it how many arrows were you running?
Just one. And it was kind of hilarious because so many of my opponents just boarded in Graveyard 8.
Yeah.
And like I got Ashiok like 4 times in my 2 weeks. I was confused.
Well, I thought you were running more. I watched you stream today, and you had in your hand like almost every game, and I was like, oh, you must be running like a lot of arrows.
Yeah, no, I drew it a lot. It was funny because they would always have Graveyard Hate, and I'd be like, well, I drew my 1 arrow.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw that. That was hilarious.
So
Yeah, I watching that deck, it looked like it actually was good. I was surprised. The Jace looked good. I was like, dang, Jace hasn't been good in so long. But yeah, I mean, it looked good in that deck, so I don't know. I think it's like those type of shells, like getting away from Celestial Colonnade, have just looked better and better. But yeah.
yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. Does anybody have any closing thoughts on the format? Well, I guess I didn't really talk about what I've been playing. I played like a little bit of everything. I played Amulet. I played John Shadow. I played.
Only a little bit of Amulet.
I would say Amulet's probably my second most played deck because I played like while I was in Reno and alone. I played it probably. It was the most constructed deck I played on that trip, and then when I got back, I like just started jamming other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I jammed Humans. Yeah, I mean, Humans feels kind of slow for the meta, but I wouldn't say it's a bad meta call. God, I've had like this deck on my mind for a while. I've been wanting to play like an Emery Aether Vial shell, but I like basically like my thought process is like Mox Opal is like is obviously a broken Magic card, but I want a card that like makes things cost less and is like along the broken axis. but I can't quite figure it out.
Goose.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to put in Goose with Aether Vial, but, like, I would need a...
Uro helps enable those Cryptic Sanctuary locks, just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like, I can put Uro in with Aether Vial as well. Like,
I will say, I mean, this is a good closing thought of mine, and I wanted to say this at the end of my little Urza spiel is, like, you know, I guess, you know, I'm not, maybe the Urza deck isn't as good as I thought. You know, Dan obviously seemed to not think super highly of it.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think I will say in confidence that Uro is fucking great.
yeah.
Uro is just a really good Magic card. And, you know, maybe it's not the best thing going on in the current Modern format. Like, obviously, Titan, you know, outshines it, but, like, Uro's really fucking powerful. And, you know, I expect it to be a big player in Modern for the coming months and years.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna stick around, that's for sure. But it's like, if you wanna, like, beat it, it incidentally gets, like, eaten, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't, like, you get to see it a mile away, so, like, cards like Skooz and, like, even, like, Clothis, you just get to eat it, you know? Because those Ponza decks have been popping up as well, so... I don't know. I feel kind of afraid in this tournament. I feel afraid to play Amulet, but, you know, I feel for many reasons. I feel, number one, I feel like I'm still not where I want to be playing the deck. Number two, the hate is, like, ridiculous.
So you are playing Amulet?
I mean, I don't know what I'm playing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to play Amulet, to be honest, but...
Yeah, it feels really bad. But, like, I know it's the best deck, but...
I mean, it's the best deck, but it's one of those weird things where it's like the best deck, but everyone has 8 to 10 cyber cards for you.
It's tuned towards. It's like what I've always disliked about the best decks is that everybody's just like ready. They have their plan going, and they just like play something on turn 3 that fucks you every game.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the gap between the best deck and like, you know, when we were playing Urza, I just felt like we could. It didn't matter what hate you brought in because you could just beat it.
Well, I think that's more. I think the gap is actually bigger than it was with Urza, but the difference is that the methods people can use to shorten the gap are a lot more effective. Where like you couldn't really like attack the Thoughtseize Cryptic Command Oko deck or whatever.
Yeah.
But like Amulet is obviously attackable.
Yeah, and that part like really bothers me. I don't know. You know, I think like mulliganing is like so difficult with this deck. I feel like I will just lose the tournament based on a greedy keep or like a greedy mulligan because I was just like, oh, they probably have this hate. I should like mulligan towards like, you know, anti-hate cards. But yeah, I don't think I've felt this loss for regionals pretty much ever. And kind of disappointed in my testing. But yeah, I have some work to do tonight and tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll figure it out. Anybody else have anything else to say?
I'm sure we were all over this already, but none of us talked about the Underworld Breach deck.
Oh, yeah.
Who?
It's bad.
So overrated.
Yeah.
She reminds me of the PO deck.
You know.
There's a PO deck?
No, it just reminds me of like when
Oh.
the PO deck was popular for that period of time, and then everyone just eventually figured out that it was just really bad.
I think this deck is like much worse than that PO deck was. Even.
Yeah, I think so too. But I also think it has like the potential to become like a bigger potential. Like if it looks as if someone figures out something that hasn't been figured out yet, there could be something inherently broken there. But I just think the way the decks are currently built are just like nowhere near that.
I know some good players around, like Baumeister's coming to our originals. He's playing it, and we know Pete's playing it. Talking to him on the podcast today, so you know, I am curious to see how like some of the good players you know, feel about the deck after this weekend. But I agree. I don't think it's.
I think there's a good I did see a good version that Abe was playing against last night, which had a really good sideboard plan. The ones with black in them that transition into like they like playing like the Doctor Sword combo as well as the Sly Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
That combo is sick. Like Sword, Inquisitor, and
What does Inquisitor do?
whenever you
It's like 5-mana improvise.
yeah 5-mana improvise whenever you catch it.
Hit by graveyard hate.
Whenever you
Like,
yeah.
Why do you want a redundant combo that's weak to the same hate?
Because like we brought in like cards like Ashiok and stuff like that, and it felt like Ashiok was no longer good, right? Like Ashiok is the most common form of graveyard hate right now, and it doesn't do well against Doctor Sword or the Sly Inquisitor combo, right? Because you can infinite mill your opponent with Sword, Inquisitor, and the 2-mana mill card.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when you're a post board, you board out all your breaches. All of a sudden, your deck plays like on a pretty good axis against the current graveyard hit.
It seems good specifically against Ashiok. One thing I saw people on Twitter discussing that honestly didn't sound terrible is Saheeli Feldar in the board, just because you're already playing a bunch of Teferis, so Feldar is like a reasonable value card in your deck.
Yeah.
I thought that sounded kind of cool because that's actually not vulnerable to any hate that people would otherwise bring in, and it helps you grind like reasonably well.
Yeah. I mean, I love that, but yeah.
That's too cheesy, or
Do I think it's good? It's probably
Sounds
pretty bad.
nice.
Oh, never mind. I mean, without Oath of Nissa, Feldar Guardian feels like a lot worse, but
Yeah, but that's really.
Yeah.
I know it's worse, but it's like it's more than just Teferi as targets.
yeah. I mean, it takes up 8 slots, but yeah, I mean, it's in the same color combination. It could be good. Maybe I should try that. I don't know.
It could be worth trying, but I'm not sure yet.
Don't hate it.
Oh man, that deck sounds like a blast. I have been wanting to play Cat combo in Modern for a very long time.
Heck yeah.
It feels like it's on the cusp. But like the 4-color cat combo of Vanessa.
Yeah,
That's like a Zan specialty when somebody's on the cusp, though.
but
Yeah. No, I feel like it could be like
the breach stuff is so garbage though. It just looks so bad. It just looks so bad. Like a Bajuka Bot can just stop you. I don't know.
Speed.
Say that again.
But not if they can't put it in on instant speed. Take that, Grazer.
That's fair.
True.
But it's like pretty easy for an Amulet deck to set that up. It just feels like you're like way slower than Amulet when you're playing that deck.
What deck? Sorry, which one?
The Breach deck.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like, have you guys played with Amulet against Breach?
Yeah, it has it's felt a little too slow.
Yeah. Do you guys have a really good win rate against it? Is it close?
I think it's solidly good. I have cut Forcive Vigor from my sideboard, but if that Immaculate was popular, adding that back in would improve it pretty significantly. I do not really feel that bad about it though, just
Yeah.
in general.
Interesting.
It is very hard for them to beat a Scout.
Yeah, I agree. Alright.
Boy.
Are we missing any other decks, guys?
Zan, have you tried any Prowess? Prowess is really popular right now.
Prowess? No, I've played against it a lot. I feel like I beat it pretty
I
Pretty
think
consistently.
Prowess is worse than Shadow.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I was trying this. I did try this weird deck. It was like a Naya Wild Nacatl deck. I know it sounds pretty bad, but I was actually surprised. I was just playing it on stream just because I thought it would be entertaining and nostalgic. But I did like Stoneforge Mystic and Embercleave a lot. I thought that combination was kind of fucked up. And then I was also playing like Magus of the Moons in the main, like all 4 with Once Upon a Times. And I played against I played one league and I played against 2 Amulets, 2 Urozas, and 1 Eldrazi Tron, and I pretty easily beat Titan and Uroza, and I lost to the Eldrazi Tron player because of Karn. But yeah, I thought the deck was interesting. I want to see more Stonefort Mystics decks with Embercleave.
This is powerful code to get.
Yeah,
And just put in.
I had this pretty cool play where I had to Clothis. I put a 1-off Clothis in my deck, and Embercleave and Clothis work pretty well together. You get to activate it pretty easily. Like I had Bloodbraid, and then I put in Embercleave, and then my Clothis was just a 10/10 double strike indestructible trampler. But yeah, that was a for funsies deck. I'm not sure if I would consider it. I think I might have persuaded Chris to get on it because he was considering playing Ponza. But yeah, that's it for my thoughts. Anybody else? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm holding my peace.
All right. Meeting adjourned. All right.